Good evening. Welcome to my channel. My name is David Okon, and I'm talking about Jeff Bezos of Amazon. And the topic of this video will be featuring Amazon. Amazon is central to what Jeff Bezos has achieved in his life. We have been looking at his early life, how he's born, how he was raised, the family, his education, and his dreams and his hopes, and we are looking at his business career now. Watch the other videos. I'm going to record them as Amazon and Jeff Bezos. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and the cost of living. So I'm still talking about the cost of living in terms of wealth, because Jeff Bezos is the third richest man in the world. He's a multi-billionaire. He's worth hundreds of billions of US dollar. And the cost of living is an income problem affecting the poor. So we'll talk about income of poor people generally, but specifically we're looking at individuals who are actually multi-billionaires, whose activity also impact on the cost of living because they have a lot of political and business and commercial power. They control policies like inflation, interest rates, and all the other behavior of the market, the way they pay or the way they don't pay taxes. So we're going to look at them. We are looking at basis. It's quite interesting. I recommend strongly that do your best view this movie, this view this video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Share with your family and friends, and please let them support this channel. Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. We're going to look at his business career. We are looking at his early career. After Bezos graduated from college in 1986, he was offered jobs at Intel, Bell Labs, and Anderson Consulting, among others. So when he graduated, he had already built a propensity to discipline, a propensity to actually strategizing. He had a dream. So he had contacts already. He had developed a reputation in college. We looked at that background in the other video. Please watch it and can link that video with this. I will try my best to guide you if you enter into viewing this. And in 1986, that was when he graduated from college, and he was actually offered a job at Intel. So what I don't know from this information is that whether Intel is different from Bell Labs, and Anderson Consulting, among others. Yeah, they are different because they are listed. So the first job, probably one of the first job he got as a graduate, was working at Intel and also working at Bell Labs. Because his dream actually is business, technology, and science and things like that. So the kind of work he looks for, the kind of places he goes to socialize, relates to his dream of career. That's all he focus on. So Bell Labs, Intel, and Anderson Consulting, all these are other business or business associated with things he wanted to achieve. And like we looked, he first worked at Fitel, a fintech telecommunications startup, where he was tasked with building a network for international trade. So we talk about international trade. Jeff Bezos working in building his main task was actually in building a network for international trade. International trade is actually business, entrepreneurship, not just nationally but globally. And so fintech So Fitel is actually a fintech telecommunication startup. Uh, when you talk about telecommunications, Jeff Bezos was actually an engineer, an electrical engineer, and so when you hear things like fintech, it means technology. These are names associated with technology, telecommunications. It's actually technical fields in terms of infrastructures. And startup actually is like a business startup where people are innovative, young, and also creativity is needed. So that's where he started. Very, very, I would say Bezos was very fluent. I know, I know other things were helping him. The environment, the background. Bezos was promoted to head of development and director of customer service thereafter. And so we talk about things like development. You talk about like director. You talk about customer service. So customer service is actually at the heart of business. If you want to run business, do go online, do a free training on customer service and business development, and also management and leadership. That's what director do. You can get it at a basic level. You don't need even qualification in that. You just go and learn it online. I go online, places like BBC Bite Size, but there are courses online which are actually free. They are very elementary, but you might be encouraged to pay a bit more to get maybe the more the higher the level, the more they're going to ask you to pay some basic. You can actually maybe ask for some help, grants or something. But that's just I'm just thinking aloud. You don't need to do anything like that. But I'm just trying to link your experience, your viewing this video, and my conversation with Jeff Bezos' experience, and if you can apply it into your life. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. And if you comment below, if you think it's important to really relate your life. It doesn't matter if you're a young person, especially if you're a young person, because he was young at this stage in his life. So this may be more interesting to young people because young people have a greater chance than older people, and they still have a lot of years ahead of them. The future actually belongs to young people. So to know what other heroes did, if Jeff Bezos is your hero, if you like Amazon, it's worth knowing who is behind Amazon. I'm not saying you are ignorant of that, but if you know anything about Jeff Bezos, which you think you can actually share with us, leave a comment below, or do what you can, share it with your friends, family, and be a leader. Even if you are only 20 years, even if you are only 15, even if you are only 12, and maybe you can start leading as a young person. But also, if you are older, 30, 40, 50, 60, doesn't matter. Some people think they're too old to do anything. If you are 100 years, if you can still do something, do it. Read about Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos is actually about 59. He's still young. Jeff Bezos is about 59 years, if I remember correctly. So he transitioned into the banking industry when he became a product manager at Bankers Trust from 1988 to 1990. So in 1990, between 1988, because he started work in 1986, so 2 years later, between 1988 and 1990, he transitioned, he actually moved into the banking industry when he became a product manager at a Bankers Trust. So he was a banker manager in 2 years from beginning work from graduation. So he was actually making progress very rapidly. He's a very disciplined young man, and at this time he also had gone to the right university. He had also developed networking systems if you watch the other video, he had developed a stronger background very early on, even when he was in, especially when he was actually in university. He was actually very alert about networking. So if you know how to connect with people, and if you work hard and actually develop a strong skill based knowledge base, and if you learn the secret of solving a problem, especially technological, professional, legal, maybe business, even social issues. If your family, you give advice to family, or you solve family issues, especially if in the community you can do that, but also the community may mean also business community. You can start a business to support a family of multimillionaires and ordinary people. It depends what you want to do. So he then joined the Shaw and Company, a newly created hedge fund with a strong emphasis on mathematical modeling in 1990 until 1994. So yeah, DE Show and Co. If you know anything about that, DE Show and Co. That is the company he worked. He joined DE Show and Co. This was actually a newly created opportunity, an hedge fund with a strong emphasis on mathematical modeling in 1990 until 1994. So he actually has been strategic in his career development. And mathematical modeling, if you know anything about mathematical modeling, please let me know. Sound like a very interesting thing. This is the kind of company he was looking at, because he was actually has a very strong engineering and technological background. You cannot do engineering and technology if you don't know mathematics. So he knew then what to look for and how to get it. So it's very impressive early on within the 90s and the 80s. And so the hedge fund, actually, I don't know what hedge fund is, but I think it has to do with trading. It's very corporate, it's very business. Actually, it's at the heart of business enterprising at the corporate level. They're very big, they're very powerful. They're one of the actually the deciding factor in the corporate economy. So you can see the story of Jeff Bezos, I beg your pardon, and we are now going to look at Amazon. Um, Amazon now actually is what defines Jeff Bezos. If somebody asks you who is Jeff Bezos, the immediate answer is that he is the owner of Amazon. Amazon is well known to different people around the world because Amazon is actually where people actually buy online. If you're a young person, if you're an adult, male or female, you know Amazon. The man who owns Amazon is Jeff Bezos. Leave a comment below if you know Jeff Bezos, if you know Amazon. Bezos, in late 1993, Bezos read that the internet was growing at a rate of 2,300% a year and decided to establish an online bookstore. So Amazon began as a bookstore. So that is actually quite interesting. And personally, I wouldn't have thought a bookstore is actually useful. But that's me. That's the difference between me and Jeff Bezos. Because Jeff Bezos actually is a scholar. He's an academic. He went to uni and he studied at one of the most iconic universities. He's a scientist. You cannot be a scientist without understanding the value of learning. And so he looks at bookstore. And bookstore is where you store books. You store books there, not for fun. You sell it. It's a bookshop. It's a store. This is online. Now, in the other video, I emphasize the importance of online businesses, platforms, digital economy, internet, e-commerce. All these things are in the other video. If you watch the other video, it's connected with this. That's what Jeff Bezos did. He read, I think, I don't know where I read it from. But he read that the internet was growing at a rate of 2300%, 2,300% a year, and he decided to establish an online store. So that is really strategic. I mean, he's so lucky. He learns about something and decides to do something about it. He and his then wife, Mackenzie Scott, they left their jobs at D.E. Shaw and founded Amazon in a rented garage in Bellevue, Washington on July 5th, 1994, after writing its business plan on a cross-country drive from New York City to Seattle. So they were actually driving across their cross-country driving is actually long-distance driving. They were driving from New York City to Seattle. And Amazon was actually started in a rented garage in Bellevue, Washington. The date was actually on the 4th, on the 5th of July, 1994. They left their job at D.E. Shaw. He and his wife, he was already married to Mackenzie Scott, and they left their jobs at D.E. Shaw and founded Amazon in a rented garage in Bellevue, Washington on July the 5th, 1994, after writing its business plan on a cross-country drive from New York City to Seattle. Leave a comment below if you know how to write a business plan. Leave a comment. And writing a plan of Amazon store while driving a long distance cross-country drive with your wife. If you're married, if you're dating a girlfriend, or a boyfriend, let me know if you think of doing things together, working together in partnership. Let me know if you can plan a business, a successful, potentially successful business. You can do that. Even if you can think of doing that, leave a comment below and let me know if it makes sense to you, especially if you are a young person. But also, if you are not a young people, you are an elderly person or an old adult. I mean, can you do that either by yourself, or can you do that with a partner, with your wife, or with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend? Can you actually sit down and think of an opportunity and say, we are going to take this opportunity? So with Bezos at the helm and Scott taking an integral role in the operation, writing checks, keeping track of the books, and negotiating the company's first flight contracts, the foundation was laid for this garage run operation to grow exponentially. So that is the story. Prior to setting on Seattle, Bezos had investigated setting up his company at an Italian and Indian reservation near San Francisco in order to avoid paying taxes. Leave a comment below if avoiding tax avoidance is a good thing. It's a practice common among millionaires at the moment. Their instincts is to avoid taxation. And a lot of people think tax avoidance is not illegal. Tax avoidance is not legal. Tax evasion is illegal. It means you are actually liable to pay tax and you don't pay it. When you avoid tax, you avoid being liable to paying tax. You avoid liability of paying taxes. So when you are not liable for something, it means you don't have to actually you don't have to pay it. You don't actually, and you're not required to pay it. So if you don't pay it, you are not breaking the law. So when they created Amazon, Bezos was at the helm. At the helm means he took a leading role. He was actually leading the program of Amazon. His wife Scott was taking an integral role in its operation. So she was close by. She was not far off. She was actually alongside him, supporting him, but he was the head. She was not the tail, but she was actually part and parcel of the business. He was actually very close to. He led, and his wife was at his side. They work together, which is actually dream. It's a dream situation, like a dream come true. You're working with your wife, and his wife was actually performing operational duties. Simple things like writing checks. Simple things like keeping track of the books. Like monitoring to see where the book is coming from, where it's going to. And she was also negotiating the company's first freight contract. When freight is actually when you do shipment, or maybe you deliver. So you negotiate that. These are actually big consignments, big orders. They ran it in a garage, and the operation grew as they actually conducted business exponentially. So it was a steady growth. It was performing. It just achieved performance almost instantly. And so before settling on Seattle, because they were in Seattle, doing that business, so he actually did an investigation, an option to set up his company at an Indian reservation. Indian reservation is actually an open land. It's really a very remote, often very open piece of land occupied by Red Indians. When they talk about Indians in America, they talk about the indigenous population of America, the Red Indians. So their reservation is actually, it's almost like a colonial terminology, where the Indians were actually kept in the early stages of colonialism in America. It was like a concentration camp, but in some area, America is so huge. So the Indians actually now are actually isolated almost. They live in certain reservation like animals. Reservation is almost like a park, like a national park, where they were actually kept, like in Australia. Aborigines are also in their area. It's almost like a concentration camp on a big scale. But this was done because I don't know why, but that's what happens. So when you talk of Indian reservation, this one was near San Francisco. So when you are there, you're probably in a no man's land. I mean, I don't know if the Indians pay taxes. So I think a reservation now in the days of Jeff Bezos is like a country within a country. It's a country which is actually probably out of reach of ordinary legal system, including taxation and stuff like that. Maybe their rules on taxation was different. They didn't. I don't know. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about Indian reservation. I like to think it's like a sovereign state. The government probably agreed to allocate a piece of land. It's like a country within a country where the Indians live. That's what Indian reservation is probably. what the problem is. Because if um it's near San Francisco, the Indian reservation is near San Francisco as a state, as a city. But Jeff Bezos wanted to set his company in Indian reservation in order to avoid paying taxes, which means those are actually like sovereign state in America. It's a country within a country, a reservation such as that. But his motive for accessing to set up his company in the reservation was to avoid tax. So Bezos initially named his new company Cadabra. I don't know what Cadabra means, but later changed the name to Amazon after the Amazon River in South America, in part because the name begins with the letter A, which is at the beginning of the alphabet. At the time, website listings were alphabetized. They were alphabetized, so a name starting with A would appear sooner when customers conducted online searches. So Amazon, at that time, website listings were actually designed alphabetically, and names, if a name started with A, it appeared first. When customers are making searches online, the name A appeared first. So in part, that was why he chose Amazon. But actually, the name Amazon is actually related to Amazon River in South America, and initially the name was the new company was named Cadabra, but later it was changed to Amazon after Amazon River in South America. Amazon River is in the tropical region of South America, in the northern part of Brazil, to be, if I'm correct. Leave a comment below. Amazon forest, actually. Amazon River in the Amazon forest. Amazon forest is the biggest tropical forest in the world. And Amazon River is also the biggest river in the world. It is in northern Brazil, in South America. And today, a lot of Americans are actually buying ranches, land there, and they're setting up ranches in the Amazon area. It's actually the richest in terms of natural resources, in terms of nature, in terms of biodiversity. Amazon is actually the richest place in the world. It's a place in the in the physical geography. It is called in the climatic configuration. There's something called equator. Equator is an imaginary line indicating the climate and the weather of a place on the globe. It's called equatorial belt, and the others are called temperate zones, monsoon, tropical. Amazonian is actually tropical in climatic outlook and configuration. Equatorial belt are actually very resourceful, they're very productive. So that's probably the attraction the Amazon must be. I haven't been there, but because there are similar places like that in Africa. In Uganda, where I come from, we have an equatorial belt passing through the central part of Uganda, and also in the Congo. And I spoke about the Congo when we were looking at the Russian Wagner group. They are operating in Congo because Congo is full of minerals, and also the same with Amazon. Everywhere, equatorial is quite wealthy wild diversity, wildlife diversity, and the Congo actually is the second biggest tropical equatorial rainforest. It has the second biggest concentration of rainforest in the world. That's the Congo. The first rainforest belt actually is the Amazon, which is actually number one in the world. It's quite similar with Congo, very fertile, a lot of rainfall, and a lot of wildlife there and forest. And the second biggest is actually the Congo and part of Uganda also, and Kenya Island. These are actually areas which are very, very, the most fertile, the most productive area in Africa. It's actually the equatorial belt, and also in South Africa, within the Amazonian region. So it's not for nothing that Mark Bezos actually chose that name to describe his business. So we're looking at Amazon and how its name began, what inspired in the manner of Jeff Bezos conducting business, and in addition, he regarded Amazon, the name of the world's largest river, as fitting for what he hoped would become the world's largest online bookstore. So he wanted a source of inspiration. He wanted to actually enshrine a vision in his head. He wanted to create a picture of Amazon. Amazon being, like I said just a few minutes ago, the fertility, the resourcefulness, the unending, capacity of Amazonian region, not just the river, but the forest, and also that particular region is actually so rich, and it's just endless opportunity there. And I think in many ways, Jeff Bezos have achieved his dream of making Amazon the business so such a remarkable bookstore, and he accepted an estimated $300,000 US dollar from his parents as investment in Amazon. So there was also support from his parents, who actually gave him, I think they lent him, or they gave it to him, 300.3 million US dollar. Not many parents have that money. That is something we need to understand about Jeff Bezos. He was not from an ordinary parentage. His parents were rich. The evidence is right there. No parent can actually give money for investment for their sibling unless they borrow it. We don't know how, but I said a bit about his parents. He warned many early investors that there was a 70% chance that Amazon would fail or go bankrupt. So he warned his investors, people who were trying to invest in Amazon, that there was a 70% chance that Amazon would fail. In terms of percentage, it means it was not certain that Amazon was going to fail. If it is 70%, it means it wasn't certain that in terms of probability, it was not certain that Amazon was going to fail, but it was more likely than not. It was more likely than not that it was going to fail. It didn't have 50-50 chance. It didn't have a likelihood of success. It was likely that most likely Amazon was going to fail. He was very honest. Although Amazon was originally an online bookstore, Bezos had always planned to expand to other products. Like we now see in the contemporary Amazon, this is in the beginning of setting up the mega store in what is now Amazon. 3 years after Bezos founded Amazon, he took it public with an initial public offering, IPO, in response to critics critical reports from Fortune and Barron's Bezos maintain that the growth of the internet would overtake competition from larger book retailers such as Borders and Barnes and Noble. So he had a very what turned out now to be a very accurate assessment, and to answer people's concern, especially investors' concern. So in 1998, Bezos diversified into the online sale of music and video, and by the end of the year, he had expanded the company's products to include a variety of other consumer products. These are now actually developments following. Um, Bezos used the 54 million dollars raised during the company's 1997 equity offering to finance aggressive acquisition of smaller competitors. So the behavior of corporate giants and their entrepreneurs and their owners is actually takeovers. You buy out competitors. So big is better. That's what we now understand to be the corporate economy and the corporate culture accompanying the corporate infrastructuring of capitalism in the commercial economy, nationally, globally, like we discussed in previous videos. These now support the view actually presented when looking at capitalism, when looking at globalization. We say to survive, actually you have to grow, and this is a pattern Jeff Bezos actually took in expanding Amazon. So in 2000, Bezos borrowed $2 billion from banks as in its cash balance dipped to only 350 million US dollar. So borrowing is a life pattern with corporatization, and without borrowing, even now, the corporate establishment, the corporate civilization will collapse, and borrowing is on the increase within the corporate economy. They call it different names. I won't go into it now because I know very little about those kind of names. Things like hedge funds or whatever. You do research and study how corporate businesses today raise revenue to invest in their business. So if they, for some reason, if they take risks, if they run out of money, they go to banks and borrow billions of US dollar, billions of pounds. That is a common thing. Is now happening. It's actually is in the growth. The credit economy within the private sector is the lifeline of marketization of capitalism. Without borrowing within the private sector, the global economy will collapse today and tomorrow. So Jeff Bezos are actually pioneers. When you hear him borrowing money from banks, normally when they run out of money, they go to the bank and borrow money. These borrowings are actually backed by the government. I think something called bond or gilts or whatever. It's buying and selling involving the government. So the government is actually at the back, at the heart of capitalism. Corporatization is at the heart of capitalism. It's about money. It's about wealth. It's a good thing, but this is how they do it. This is an example of how entrepreneurs behave as corporate giants in the world. In 2002, Bezos led Amazon to launch Amazon Web Services, which compiled data compile data from weather channels and website traffic. There is something called traffic in the digital atmosphere in website involve visibility. So so compiling data from weather channels and website traffic. This was actually what Jeff Bezos actually began to do, and they launched what you call the web services elements of the business, which actually form part of Amazon infrastructuring and business modeling. In late 2002, rapid spending from Amazon caused its financial distress when revenue stagnated. So sometimes things go out of control. So you this spend from private businesses, like you have seen with Amazon, normally causing financial distress is an understatement. Sometimes it actually leads to a full-blown financial crisis. Actually, can go global because big businesses like this can actually create a lot of trouble in the market, and then sometime the government has to bail them out because they play central roles in controlling global economy. So this is actually in late 2002. This is what happened with Amazon rapidly spending from Amazon, spending on Amazon and causing financial distress. When revenues stagnate, it means it's not really making. I think it's not really performing. The revenues are not really coming in. When they stop, when they're not moving, I mean they are not really making profit because revenue, the business is not is drinking money, but it's not generating income. It's not generating revenue. It's not making money. It's not really generating revenue, and it stops. When it stops, it's not moving. It's not really creating wealth. It's not making money, and then create problem within the financial sector. After the company nearly went bankrupt, it closed distribution centers and laid off 14% of the Amazon workforce. This is actually efficiency saving, cutting costs. And one of the side effects of big corporations when they get in financial trouble, for one reason or another, the first line of attack is actually to lay off staff. 14% is really huge. It's almost less than a quarter percent, but but still is so big. And closing down distribution centers, for example, and laying off staff. And this kind of conduct is very common with big corporations. The human equivalence is actually employment is at risk. So in the free market terms, when big businesses get into trouble and they begin to close down sites, they're actually making cuts in terms of cost. They're cutting costs by closing down, reducing the size of their operations. And because they have to maximize profit, they have to still make money, they're going to cut staff also. They're going to lay off staff. People are going to lose their jobs. That's why under capitalism, which is actually what I talked about previously, it is very important for the government to intervene to support employment and to support businesses in crisis, specifically so that it can save such a company, to support an organization like Amazon, so that it can actually, the government should pump money into these companies for the purpose of actually maintaining employment, so that sites are actually weak sites. I mean, areas which are not actually making profit, Because when they say there's a problem with the organization, it means it's losing money. It means not making profit, and all the money is actually going to what cost. Like operational costs, running a section which doesn't actually make profit. So they close it down and people lose their job. But if the government is to intervene, which is actually my argument in the other video, that government should intervene in capitalism, under capitalism, to support employment, to support welfare of people who actually work there, and also to actually support custom. Because when big businesses who are actually monopolistic and where like food, producing energy, because they are so big, they are monopolistic, people actually rely on them. They actually destroy competition. And corporations are actually uncompetitive because they monopolize, they control, they decide what happens in the market. They are anti-competitive, their practices are uncompetitive, so the government should actually regulate them. The government should intervene to regulate big businesses to make sure that actually the welfare of the country is actually provided by these private companies. Because these private companies actually are the ones running the economy, they are running the country economically, everybody depends on them. And to keep people working, the government has to intervene. That is a really very important point. You need to remember this because I actually raised it in the other videos and when I was looking at capitalism. In the 2013, Bezos secured a $600 million contract with the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, on behalf of Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services actually contracted with the Central Intelligence Agency, it's a government security agency. The CIA, everybody knows about them. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. This was actually as recent as 2013. Bezos secured a $600 million contract with the Central Intelligence Agency CIA on behalf of Amazon's web services. So you talk about the internet every time because internet is World Wide Web, www dot. Then it is you talk about the internet. So to talk about web service, there are the digital services, there are internet services. In October of that year, Amazon was recognized as the largest online shopping retailer in the world. Online shopping retailer in the world, that is so huge. And I also spoke about digitalization of the economy. I talked about us living in the digital age. So Amazon is actually very contemporary. It's very timely. It's very vogue. It's very it's a place to be. So in October 2013, it was the biggest shopping retailer in the world. Jeff Bezos. Thank you for watching this video. Like I said at the beginning, help support this channel to grow. We are 2 months old. As a program, help us and subscribe to this channel. Share this video with family and friends. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.